Right, welcome to this tactics video. It's for Imperial Knights. In this particular video, we'll be taking a look at the standard Imperial Knight. In the codex now for Imperial Knights, it's not just your standard Imperial Knight. There's other types of Imperial Knights that are available, and so I'll hope to cover all the different types of units in future tactics videos as those units become available. So I have a proposed list. It's on the Plus channel, so I hope to pretty much stick to that structure, develop it to some degree, and then the aim is to go for a 2,000 points army. Imperial Knights, though, are a very impressive army. Beautiful miniatures that Games Workshop have produced. Some disagree about the large models, some disagree about flyers. I think the introduction of flyers and the larger models, the super heavies, is just fantastic. Very exciting aspect to games of Warhammer 40,000. Just these towering models. Yes, it's great. It's a great feeling to be using them in a game, but it's also great when you bring one of them down. It really does feel good when you finally destroy one of the larger models. But wait, look at that. It's just really nice. Beautiful army there. I think that's way over 2,000 points. I don't think you could get that many knights into a 2,000 point army, but it does look really good. Very impressive indeed. So in this video I'll showcase the miniature here. This Imperial Knights army, this new proposed list, is now being painted up on commission by Lego Fingers. You can check him out on his Instagram. I'll put the details below for the various links. He does paint models up, you know, on commission. So if you like the look of this Imperial Knight here and you want one painted up the same in this colour scheme or a different household, then by all means get in contact with him, and then he'll be able to give you an idea of what it will cost to have one of these towering models painted up. But as you can see, fantastic standard that Lego Fingers paints these miniatures too. So there he is. Beautiful model. And my favourite colour scheme. House Terran is my favourite. When I first saw Imperial Knights, did spend a lot of time looking into all the different painting colour schemes you could go for, the different households. This has always been my favourite. I went for House Raven, another one of my favourites. I painted up in the red colour scheme to go nicely with my Admech army. Scutari all painted up in red, but still my favourite has always been this colour scheme here, House Terran. So there is, and it's sort of the classic Imperial Knight configuration. So no weapon on top, and then the Reaper Chainsword here, and then the repeater battle cannon just there. So we'll check out, that's the configuration. We'll cover all the different configurations here, if you're average and standard Imperial Knight, just to give you an idea of the different options that you can take, and we'll sort of look at the tactics that you can use to get the most out of these units. So I think it's great work been done, all the transfers here, real expert job, very clean cut and crisp finish on this model, and that's nice, helps pick out all of the sculpting work and detail on this model. But there he is. What we'll do now is take a look at the rules. So we'll just push him just to there. So Imperial Knights then. It's a great time to collect Imperial Knights because the range of them, the model range has been expanded so much. There's some great new models out there, and so you really do get the feel it's a nice standalone army with a nice bit of variety as well. It's not just, previously it was just you had to buy a number of those and then that's pretty much it. You have 4 of those in an army and then that's all you can do. But now there's different types of Imperial Knights, and the Warglaves as well, the Armiger class Knights, just adds a great dimension. Now, so there's a nice bit of variety you can take for Imperial Knights. So, we'll cover the households. If you want more detail of the entire range, and check out the Codex review, it's already up on the channel for the Imperial Knights. I go through all of the units, all of the war gear, options, weapons, stratagems, traits, and so on. It's all covered there in that video. If you want a broad spectrum of all that's available here in this book, but you choose your household and that gives you your abilities there. But we'll look at the standard Imperial Knight here. So you see, that's the kind of images that I saw that just blew me away. I've always liked to look at these, just incredible. So real nice. Really nice colour scheme. Very striking. See, I like that one as well. It is good. You can see them painted up in different colours. Just sort of letting you see the spectrum of colour schemes that you can go for. So we'll start with the Knight Paladin here. So there he is, painted up just there, House Terran, pretty much as you see just there. So that's the colour scheme I've gone for. Very happy with that. Looks great in the urban atmosphere there. So you're on a damage chart. Movement 12, so they're fast moving. Movement 12 is quick. So yes, towering machines, but they can get about the table nice and quick. Weapon skill and ballistic skill 3+. That's just that, you know, decent, reliable to hit roll there. Then strength 8 and toughness 8. That toughness 8 is really good. You get hit by strength 7 weapons or less, it's going to be 5s to wound. Get hit by strength 8 weapon, it's going to be a 4 to wound. And then really it's going to have to be strength 9 or better, and there's not a whole host of weapons that are strength 9 or better in 40k in order to get that 3+ to wound. So the toughness there is a big help for the knight. 24 wounds, so loads of wounds to absorb damage coming in. You know, it's going to take, by the time you roll to hit to wound and you're averaging out your damage, it's going to take about 10 laser cannons or more to try and bring that thing down. So it's going to draw a lot of firepower, but it's going to absorb a lot of firepower as well. So your idea is to try and keep these alive and do as much damage as possible before they're finally brought down. 4 attacks, so not a vast amount of attacks, but 4 is healthy enough. Leadership 9 and a 3+ save. Then you do go into damage brackets. So your first 12 wounds is you're going to feel no impact at all. So there is that leeway of you're not going to be effective. As soon as you take half damage, between 7 and 12 wounds, you drop down to movement 9, which is okay. It's still fast enough. And then 4+ weapon skill and ballistic skill, which is okay. As soon as you get to 1 to 6 wounds, so you know 3/4 dead, you're dropping down to 6-inch move and a 5+. You can still cause damage and move about, but your reliability just sinks right down. You know, 5+ to hit with your weapons isn't very reliable at all. So we'll discuss the weapons options that you can take. Obviously I have this configuration here. I have a different configuration on my House Raven Imperial Knight. My preferred choice is with that House Raven Knight. This one's okay. That's an excellent weapon as well. So it's definitely a good weapon choice as well. Your standard loadout for the Paladin, which is this one here, is Reaper Chainsword, Rapid Fire Battle Cannon, 2 Heavy Stubbers and Titanic Feet. That's the exact loadout of this model here. So I've always seen that's just the classic Imperial Knight here. So if you go for that, you have you start with Paladin 285 points. Then you take a Reaper Chainsword, which is Titanic Feet 0 by the way. Reaper Chainsword is 30 points you have to add on, so you're pushing over into 300. And then the Rapid Fire Battle Cannon is 100 points. It is the most expensive weapon to take, but it's sort of a general all-round. It's good at firing at heavy infantry and also the heavier targets and vehicles and so on as well. So the Rapid Fire Battle Cannon is range 72. You know, you're going to reach anything on the table. It's heavy 2d6, so you're going to get between 2 and 12 shots, averaging about 6 shots from that. Strength 8 -2 and d3 damage. So when you fire that thing at something, you're bound to get your hits, at least some. You're going to get some wounds, and you're going to put some damage in. If you roll well enough, you know, a decent amount of damage is going to come through against the target. It's a general all-rounder. Or if you find yourself needing to fire at heavy infantry, it's not just going to be a one-shot weapon. You know, you make a good job of killing one model. It's multiple shots, in which case you can bring down, you know, Terminators. Heavy infantry can be dealt with effectively as well. So just a general, decent all-round weapon. Before I cover other weapons, there's some rules to help this knight out. There's other options, plenty of options to take. You get the Iron Shield, so 5+ invuln save against ranged weapons. So you're not going to get it in close combat, but against ranged weapons. That's 1/3 of the firepower you should block that comes through against you, if it's based on, you know, usual rules, not mortal wounds. So, you know, laser cannon shots, there's a 33% chance, 1/3 chance you're going to block it by rolling a 5+. So that's going to help keep damage away from this guy, just with that invuln save. If you do explode, you do have to be aware of this. You know, don't keep units too nearby. If you do roll that dreaded 6, you explode, and it's units within 2d6. You could be looking at a 12-inch range explosion. It's d6 mortal wounds. If that happens, you know, it could rip a rip a hole out of your army. So that's something to be aware of. Let the knight do his own thing, but I wouldn't cluster all of your best units around the knight. It works better, I think, just independently striding around the battlefield. Super heavy walker, some great rules here. For the knight, this model can fall back in the movement phase and still shoot and charge. So, you know, it's a gun platform, but it's great for getting in amongst the foe because it can stand alone in close combat, no problem at all. And the great thing is it can pull out of combat, fire at different targets, and then charge at a target as well. You know, it can pull out, recharge, back in. Now with 40k you can split fire all of your weapons, so he can fire his heavy stubbers at one target, fire the rapid fire battle cannon at another target, charge into different targets. So very versatile, you know, fire at one thing, charge at something else. So to have him striding around the opponent's deployment zone in amongst different units is the best place for this model to be. Or not. Your opponent might have a load of nasty close range fire pages. Be careful about getting ambushed and being picked off by, you know, your opponent's going to try and think of every way that he can to try and ambush the knight, you know, melter guns and so on. So choose wisely where you tread with the knight. It's a model to be wise with because you're only going to have a handful of them in your army, and so it's not something to be treated lightly. You've got to plan and be cunning to try and maximise the damage you can do, but at the same time stay as safe as possible. When this model falls back, it can move over infantry and swarm models, though it must end its move more than 1 inch away from enemy units. So some people try and use the tactic of bogging units down in combat. You are allowed in 8th edition to pull away from combat, but what some players will do is they'll try and string models all the way around your base, and you just can't move, you're stuck. But with the knight, he can step over units, infantry and swarms, and get out of combat. So, you know, and the opponents, because he can maybe move 12, the opponent's going to need to go very deep with all of his models to try and stop you from striding out of combat. So that's a great thing to bear in mind, is that you can walk away from, step over units that are trying to lock you down in close combat. Your average infantry unit, if it's surrounded by other models, to pull out of combat you have to be an inch away from enemy models, and you can't pass through or go within an inch of enemy models. So it is a tactic where you can lock people in, lock units in by surrounding a base. But with him, he can step over, which is a great rule to bear in mind. In addition, this model can move and fire heavy weapons without penalty to the hit rolls. Excellent. You know, imagine moving and then suffering a -1 to all of your shots. It'd be a real crippling effect that for the knights, but there's no minus, which is great. Finally, this model only gains a bonus to its save for being in cover if at least half of the model is obscured from the fire. And I believe the way the rules work, you've got to be in cover and obscured for this one by at least half. So it's very rare you're going to get full cover. It's difficult. You've got to put the model into the cover and then be obscured also. So it's very difficult to do. It's very rare that's going to happen. The best way to protect him is just to obscure him entirely, so to hide him behind something completely solid where you cannot see any of the knight if you're looking to protect him from enemy firepower. But really it's going to be difficult, you know, it's just the point you're going to have to concede. Imperial Knights are going to be seen, they are going to be shot at, and there's not too much you can do about it. So the idea is to have it so tough that it can just weather that storm and still prevail against what the opponent has. So you can go for, we'll cover the Reaper Chainsaw because it's in the entry here, +6, so strength 14, so the average vehicle's toughness 7, so you can be on 2s to wounding close combat, AP -3, and it is 6 damage. It's a horrific weapon, 4 attacks, you should hit with 3 of them, you should wound with all of them, and then the opponent, if he saves 1, you know, if 2 get through, it's 12 wounds, and you could destroy your average vehicle. So it's nasty enough. Maybe re-rolls, you know, you re-roll and stand by just to try and make sure that gets through if you decide to use the chainsword in close combat. You can take a Thunderstrike Gauntlet. Maybe you have to pay a bit more for that. Reaper Chainsword, well, just an extra 5 points, so it's hardly anything in it. It's times 2 strength, so strength 16. That's helpful against things like Land Raiders, where you're double this toughness, so you're still on 2s to win. Then it's AP -4, so your average vehicle, 3+ save, it's not going to get any kind of chance to block that, and Land Raider's going to be knocked down to 6+ save, so that's very helpful. It's still still damage 6, which is really good. And then when attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll. That's the downside. -1 to hit, and you are limited on your number of attacks. If a vehicle or monster is slain by this weapon, pick an enemy unit within 9. Roll a d6 and a 4+ unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. That's okay. What puts me off this one is that -1 to hit. It's kind of awkward because you don't have many attacks. So I choose the Reaper Chainsword because you are guaranteed those hits, more likely. You have Titanic Feet, so even if you take a configuration where you've got no mounted combat weapon, you still can make use of the feet. Strength for the user, so you're still fighting at strength 8. It's AP -2 and it's d3 damage, and you get 3 hit rolls for each attack made with this weapon. So great against hordes, or you're bogged down against infantry. 3 hit rolls for each attack. So that's going to be 12 attacks there. 4 attacks times 3, 12 attacks. So a good number of attacks for dealing with hordes, and a bit of versatility there. You can still kick in a vehicle and cause trouble with that. So the feet are great, and a lot of Imperial Knight players will forsake the chainsword and go for the another shooting option with these others, which we'll take a look at later on. But that's the classic loadout. So you can replace one heavy stubber, this one here, with a melter gun. 17 points to do it instead of 4 points with a stubber. I think it's worth doing, just that little bit of anti-tank ability there. With that, can help reduce some wounds down. It doesn't cost too much extra to do it. So I don't have it in this configuration here, but on my other Imperial Knight House Raven, I have taken the melter just for a bit of extra anti-tank. Or character assassination, or killing a monster. You can use it for that kind of thing as well. So he has access to, well, if you're going to stick with Paladin, you haven't got access to the 4 range weapons. This is sort of the general configuration. But you can take Carapace, which is the weapons that go on top. We'll cover those because they're an important aspect for Imperial Knights. So we'll cover what we mentioned here. So Carapace, here it is, just it. There's 3 of them you can take. The Twin Icarus Autocan, the Storm Spear Rocket Pod, and the Iron Storm Missile Pod. I think they're well worth taking because you've paid all those points for that model. You may as well just pay a bit more and have even more shooting weapons available. So Iron Storm Missile Pod is the first one. It's 16 points, which is very cheap really. It's not very much at all. But I don't usually go for it. I don't think it's that effective. Iron Storm Missile Pod, range 72, heavy d6, strength 5, AP -1, 2 damage. And you can fire at targets that are not visible to the bearer. So a bit of anti-infantry. It's okay. If you're on a budget for points, then you got 16 spare points. You don't have enough to afford the other configurations, then by all means use that. Heavy d6, not that reliable though. You just get 1 shot or 6. It's very random. Your other option is the Storm Spear Rocket Pod. This is the one that I like to go for, which is 45 points. You're paying out a lot more, but it's an excellent weapon. It's range 48, it's brilliant range. Heavy 3, you guarantee 3 shots. Strength 8 -2, and it's d6 damage. There's been times I've almost have killed vehicles just with the Storm Spear Rocket Pod on top. So that mounts just on the very top of the vehicle here. It's like a pod that goes on. You'll see it on my House Raven Knight. And it just means you can fire at different types. Main battle cannon can fire at one target, the pod can fire at something else. It just opens your options to potentially fire at 2 heavy targets. D6 damage is nasty. You can all of a sudden get 2d6 damage against a target. a vehicle is in trouble. So the last one is the Twinicorus autocannon. That's 30 points. It's a fair bit cheaper. It does look very cool as well. The theme of it sort of anti-aircraft. Range 48 again, heavy force, you're guaranteed your 4 shots, strength 7, -1 and 2 damage. Add 1 to the hit rolls against targets that can fly. So your average flyer, it's hard to hit, freeze to hit, -1, hard to hit, and then +1 against it's still freeze to hit. Against skimmers, your wave serpents, Dark Eldar raiders and so on, they're not -1 to hit. And then you then get the +1 to hit on 2s to hit, so that's cool. -1 to the hit rolls made for this weapon against all other targets. If you are firing against regular Space Marines or Chaos Space Marines on foot or Rhino or something, it is -1 to hit. Now all of those weapons, I do like the more expensive one. Yeah, depends what you need. If you need anti-hordes, the Carapace weapons I don't think are really cut out for that. I want high impact Carapace weapons. I really do recommend the Storm Spear Rocket Pod, because it's the heavier units the opponent has is going to cause trouble for these. Standard infantry, bolt guns, las guns, plasma guns and so on, just the odd shots coming in, not too big a threat. But things like Lima Rust tanks, heavy weapons teams, fire prisms from the Eldar, those kind of vehicles, usually vehicles, are going to be the ones that cause trouble. So you want anti-tank ability to try and neutralise as many of those threats as possible, otherwise you're going to start taking a lot of wounds. So on top there, the Storm Spear Rocket Pod with that anti-tank ability is my preferred choice. It's always done well. It's always been reliable. 3 shots a turn of anti-tank firepower is really good. So that's the Paladin pretty much covered. That's your options that you can take. Now, I've gone into, I don't have the model here, but the Knight Errant is the configuration I've gone for. I'm not going through all the stats because they're generally the same, but I'll introduce the other weapons that you can take. The rules are all the same here as well. You've got access to Carapace weapons. You can take your Reaper Chainsword and exchange it for the Thunder Strikers before, and you can swap the stubber for a melter gun. So, sort of standard Imperial Knight. But you are able to take the thermal cannon, and this is the preferred option that I have for the Knight from Adeptus Mechanicus, because in that list I need anti-tank, and so the thermal cannon is, I found superb. I think it's excellent. And it's a fair bit cheaper as well. It's 76 points. It's 24 points cheaper than the rapid fire battle cannon. A little bit more actually, because you don't have to take the extra heavy stubber. So the thermal cannon's range 36, not as far range, but because you're moving about the table quite quickly, I never really found it much of a problem. Heavy D6, yes, you could roll 1 shot. On average, you're going to get 3 or 4 shots, and sometimes you'll get 6 shots. If you get 6 shots or 5 shots, target's in trouble for sure, because it's strength 9, so you're on freeze to wound most, if not virtually all targets. AP -4, so you're just going to scrub the armour away, and then D6 damage. And if you get to in half range, which is 18 inches, it's 2d6 choose the best for your damage. It's brilliant anti-tank. And so I used to have the Avenger Gatling cannon, just wasn't that great. Swapped it for the thermal cannon. You can see it modelled here, and it's a brilliant configuration. Really, really good. So, and I combine that with the Storm Spear Rocket Pod on top, and all of a sudden you've got 2 very decent anti-tank weapons. And so you're able to stride ahead, fighting my Skitarii, trying to neutralise heavy targets, trying to suppress them, damage them, destroy them, and soften up the opponent, and reduce the amount of firepower that's going to come back towards you. So that's what you can take for the Knight Errant. The Knight Gallant is your melee sort of option of taking the Thunderstrike Gauntlet and the Reaper Chainsword, so double melee weapons. It does look cool, and you can add your Carapace on top for your firepower if you want to add that on. I don't think it's as popular because you get into combat and then you've got to choose. Do I use my feet? The Reaper Chainsword or the Gauntlet, which are comparable, pretty much the same. And you end up using one and not using the other, which you pay points for, and doesn't really. And your firepower's cut down, you end up striding around the table, not being able to reply at range too effectively. So it's not as favoured an option taking the Knight Gallant. But there may be some stratagems, tactics that can enhance that. But really, I would say you want to go for the compromise between close combat, so you're not afraid of getting in close, but also you do need that firepower as much as possible. So the Paladin and the Errant would be my preferred options as opposed to the Knight Gallant. There's Knight Warden, which is the configuration I had before. So the great thing is, you've got 3 Imperial Knights in your army. You can configure them how you want. One for more close combat, one for shooting, and a mixture, one for all shooting. You can mix them up as to what you sort of figure out, what do I need in my list? What powers do I need? Do I need a lot of anti-tank, long-range firepower? Do I need short-range anti-hordes? And work it out from there. So the Knight Warden, again, same stat line. It's the Avenger Gatling Cannon. I used to use this. 75 points. It's expensive enough. It's here. Range 36, which is, the range is okay. Heavy 12, it sounds really good. 12 shots. Strength 6, -2 and 2 damage. So the reason why I didn't go for this one, it fell out of favour, is because, let's say you fire at some Space Marines. You got heavy 12, so you get 8 hits. Then strength 6, you'd be on 3s to wound. So let's say you got 5 wounds. Then it's AP -2. So opponent rolls 5 saves, a 3+, drops to 5+, saves 2, just on average. You kill 3 Space Marines. And you have an Imperial Knight, you've invested all of those points, and it's just dropping Space Marines and equivalent, or other types of units. I just didn't think it was impressive enough. So then what would happen in games, because I wasn't taking out armoured targets, I ended up firing this thing at an armoured target, and then all of a sudden you're getting 8 hits. It's usually then 5s to wound, so now all of a sudden you've got like 3 wounds. The opponent saves one of them, and you end up causing like 4 damage. And it's just wasn't that great. So I'm just not keen on the Avenger Gatling Cannon. I switched to the Thermal Cannon, which is the Knight Errant. So Knight Warden didn't get on so well with that one, and so made that change over to the Thermal Cannon instead, which is more of an anti-tank, anti-monster killer. So that's the Knight Warden. Then if you want to go for more ultimate firepower, and you'll still get close combat because you can fight with the feet, you can go for the Knight Crusader, which then gives you access to, he comes with a Thermal Cannon, Avenger Gatling Cannon, tons of firepower. You can see here you can go for the Rapid Fire Battle Cannon as well, so you pretty much any type, you've got access to Carapace as well, so any combination of the heavy firepower available for the Knight Crusader, and imagine that's a deadly enough unit there. More expensive because you're paying out for 2 decent weapons. Carapace add that on top, that's going to be your expensive Knight just there. So bear that in mind, but it's an absolute gun platform. Absolutely deadly. So that's that. That's just standard Imperial Knights. That's all your configurations. A nice lot of variety. That's pretty much how Imperial Knights used to be. Now they've gone into characters, Castellan robots, the Dominus class, and all of that available there as well. One tactic you can use to help these out is a Tech Priest. I made good use of that in my Adeptus Mechanicus army. Belisarius Call, a Tech Priest Dominus, all adding wounds, using stratagems to restore more wounds, doing it twice in a turn. I was taking a Warlord trait, which is extra +1 to your damage restorations. You're on D3 +1 and then D3 +1 again. The stratagem I was using is really pushing up the wounds, because any ways that you can push up your wounds and start restoring wounds is very helpful. So like a Tech Priest in amongst your army, if you can fit one in, it's a very helpful asset to have. Or you can go for the Forged Shrine here, and you can remain stationary. I'm not so keen on that, just for the points of it, and then you have to sort of remain stationary, not have to do anything whilst you're being repaired, and I really don't like that idea. So a Tech Priest, just a standard Tech Priest, is cheap enough to have him hanging around your army. He's a character, so you can hide behind the knights, move around doing repairs. One knight takes heavy damage, pull it out of trouble, get it repaired, send others in. That kind of work you can do. So I'm taking a little while here. I want to do a proper Tactica video for this, so we'll take a look at the households. So because this can help, is when the codex comes out, you then get access to stratagems, traits, and so on, which can enhance your standard Imperial Knight. So House Terran, this is one that I have. When determining the distance that unit in this household advances or charges, roll an additional d6 and discard the lowest results. 2d6 choose the best for advancing and for charging. It's a bit more reliable about getting close into the opponent. That's okay, not bad. House Griffith, Glory of the Charge. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this model of a household tradition during the turn in which it charged to perform a heroic intervention. In addition, model of this household tradition can perform heroic interventions as if it were a character. So encouraging you to get in close with that. Extra attack is a great thing to have. Hawk Shroud, Oath Keepers, double the number of wounds. Purpose is determining what characteristics to use in the damage table. That's a really helpful one to have. So say you got 8 wounds, you actually count as having 16, which keeps you above your damage bracket. So yes, you have your literal amount of wounds, but you count as double, and that helps keeping you up in a higher bracket for movement, firepower, accuracy, and so on. House Cadmus, Hunters of the Foe. Reroll wound rolls of 1. The fight phase for attacks made by models of household tradition against units if only contain models of wounds characteristic of 12 or less. That was alright. I wouldn't say that's that great. Do like the extra attack. Double your damage bracket is an excellent one as well. So there's some great ones here. House Morton. Add 1 to the hit rolls in the fight phase for attacks made by model of this household tradition during any turn in which it was charged to perform heroic interventions. +1 to hit rolls. 3+ becomes 2+, and it's great if you have the gauntlet. It drops to 4+, becomes 3+ again. So that one's helpful if you want to go for more reliability in close combat. House Raven, this is one that I have. Models of this household tradition do not suffer the penalties to the hit rolls for advancing and firing assault weapons. If you do decide to advance, furthermore, during a turn in which the model of this household edition advances, all of its heavy weapons are counted as assault weapons. So heavy 3 becomes assault 3. So rapid movement from these and firing on the move without penalty. Yeah, I like the House Terran. Just 2d6 choosing the best for advancing and charging. Nice. House Tyranids, Omnisized Grace. Roll dice each time model of this household edition loses a wound, unless the wound was lost as a result of a mortal wound. On 6, the wound is not lost. That's helpful. A bit of, it's going to save you 4 wounds pretty much. 1 in 6 chance, 24 wounds. It's going to save you 4 wounds. House Crashed, Cold Fury. Reroll hit rolls in the fight phase for model of this household edition, and any turn in which it was charged, performed heroic intervention. In addition, you can reroll all failed hit rolls in the fight phase for a household with edition against Titanic units. So nice, reliable there. And House Volker, Firestorm Protocols. Reroll hit rolls of 1 from model of this household edition whenever you're resolving an attack with a ranged weapon that's treating the closest enemy units. Reroll 1s against the closest target. So they're all helpful enough. 6 to ignore wounds is cool. Rerolling your hits is good. And that d6 extra, or d6 choose the best, 2d6 choose the best for your charges and advances, alright. And then that one there, your profile being higher, because you are going to take damage, so that one's helpful. So I'm not going to go through all the stratagems. I'll cover that it's already been covered in the Codex review, but ones that I like is Rotate Iron Shields. It's 1 command point if you're a standard Imperial Knight like this one. It's 3 command points if you're Dominus class. It's a painful amount of command points. But it's +1 to your in-1 save. Yeah. To a maximum 3+. So that's helpful. Definitely helpful. You're anticipating firepower. Or when you actually are being targeted, you know the shots are coming in. 4+ in-1 save. It is helpful. When your opponent's about to fire at you with his best unit, some Devastator squad, or Land Raider 4 las cannons or something, the firepower is going to be good. You then quickly play Rotate Iron Shields just to boost your in-1 save. That is helpful. Other one here is Full Tilt. This one's cool. It's 2 command points, but it basically means you can advance and then still charge as well. So a nice bit of tactical flexibility with that bit of speed. You can catch your opponent out with that one. There's some other ones. Devastating Reach. There's that rule where you can't reach units on top of buildings and so on, your opponent may try and hide upstairs. You can play this devastating reach. You can target units that are on vertical levels. Chain sweep is pretty cool if you're stuck against hordes. I'm trying to cut down as many models as possible. Use the strategy immediately after fighting with an Imperial Knights model from your army that is equipped with a Reaper Chainsword, Ravage or Honour's Bite. Roll a d6 for each enemy model within 3 inches of that model. On a 6, it suffers mortal wound. You're surrounded by 20 models, just all of a sudden chuck a load of dice and get 6s all over the place. And you're hacking models down with that. That's only 1 command point, so that one's great. Yeah, there's others. By all means, check out the comments section. Love to hear input from experienced Imperial Knights players, especially those who have a pure Imperial Knights army. What are your favourite stratagems and configurations? Relics as well, and traits, all that kind of thing. It'd be great to hear what your favourite loadout is, including all the little upgrades you can add in to make a really potent knight. So check out the description, or check out the comment section below and see what others have written. And no doubt there'll be some experienced Knights players leaving their feedback, battlefield experience there. But other ones, Machine Spirit Resurgent, I use this one as well for my Adeptus Mechanicus. To the end of this phase, end of the turn, use the top row of the damage table, regardless of how many wounds. Even if you don't have that trait earlier on for your household, you can still gain access to it there. It is for a Questoris Mechanicus, so not all the households have it, but I still like using that for my Adeptus Mechanicus army. So, plenty of others as well. Lots of options for stratagems. So, Warlord traits. I'm going to call out a number of these because some of these are fantastic. And I'll cover it because it's a tactics video for the unit. I'll still cover these here. Cunning Commander. You can reroll dice for saving throws and wounds and so on once per battle. In addition, you get an extra command point. It's great. This one here, Iron Bulwark. Your Warlord has a 4+ invuln save against ranged weapons. Amazing, because then you can play your rotate Iron Shields when you need to, and all of a sudden get a 3+ invuln save, which is just solid as a rock. Knight Essential, add 1 to your attacks characteristic. That's okay. Not bad. Land Strider, add 2 to all advance and charge rolls. That's massive benefit there, and it's to your household units within 6 of your Warlords. You've got 3 knights together. They're all getting +1 or +2 to advances and charges. That is helpful. Blessed by the Sacristans. Choose 1 weapon, not an heirloom of the noble houses that your Warlord is equipped with. Each time you make an unmodified wound of a 6, the target suffers a mortal wound. It's alright, but it's okay. Fearsome Reputation. Enemy units must subtract 1. That's morale. That's not that great, but there's some great Warlord traits there. Some really good ones to take. Then you've got access to these. I'm not going to go through all of them. I have House Terran. Reroll failed charge rolls for your Warlord. Again, encouraging you to get stuck in close combat. And then I have Raven. Add 1 to the saving throws made for your Warlord against attacks that have an AP characteristic of -1. This does not affect the invuln saving throws. So it's only AP -1, a bit strange. It's only -1s that you're able to get +1. Basically ignoring the AP -1. Virtually is what it's saying. So that's that. And then you've got your access to your relics as well. You see the depth now, all these little configurations you can do for Imperial Knights. Just to take your standard Imperial Knight model and then just add a few little enhancements in to your list. So again, not going to cover all of these, but you've got, you can upgrade, a lot of upgrades for different weapons here. So you can make the Reaper Chainsaw better. Take the Ravager, it is +8 for your strength, AP -4 and 6 damage, reroll hit rolls of 1. So that's helpful as well. Dreaded ones, you really want to get those reliable hits. That's just a better option. That Ravager Chainsword is a better option to take, and you got access to others. Remember, you can pay out extra points to get access to more relics as well, so you can upgrade a number of the weapons. So it adds even more enhancements. There's loads here for the knights to take. So I think we'll roll a few dice here to illustrate sort of the main weapons. Just illustrate to give you an idea of what to expect with the firepower, and sort of justify and show you why I went for the configurations that I've gone for. So I like doing these. It gives you an idea of, you're thinking about getting Imperial Knights, buying the model. What configuration do I go for? I'd encourage you to magnetize if you can the model, so it means you can swap weapons around. because weapons change, the codexes may change, weapons change and so on. So it's a good idea to magnetise, because it's a big model, you don't have to buy multiple models. So, and you do, when you get the kit, you do get all the weapons options that are available. So if you're clever with some magnets, you can magnetise the different options. But, you know, if you're considering how am I going to build this knight, what do I want to do, you can check, you can watch here and it'll give you an idea of what direction to go for. So your standard vehicle, toughness 7 vehicle with 10 wounds, will test out the firepower. So rapid fire battle cannon, don't really expect to destroy the target, but I'm expecting to start putting wounds onto this. So we'll do a couple of goes just to help you sort of get an idea of the average. 2d6 shots, there it is, 7, just slightly above average. Great thing is the range, you know, you can start doing this at extremely long range. 3s to hit, so there's some misses. 3s to wound, see your averages there, you start dropping dice. 5 pluses to block, it's bang on average, this is exactly what I was expecting. And 5 wounds, so that's it. I have another go. 2d6 shots, 4 shots, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 5 pluses to save, and 2d3 damage again. That's 5 wounds. You see, rapid fire battle cannon, it's okay. But I wouldn't, I don't know, it's not that scary. 7 shots. Load of misses. There's some wounds. No saves. 3d3, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, yeah. 7 wounds. So I messed that up pretty good. So, yeah, it's like, it's not hit and miss. You're going to chuck wounds on the target, but it's not like that killer blow. Avenger Gatling cannon. Let's see if I can illustrate why. It's probably going to do better than the, than the battle cannon here, but you guaranteed the 12 shots. I ended up firing at vehicles. This is what you're about to see, is sort of what was happening. So 3s for hits. So you take away all the misses. You lost all of those. You're at strength 6, toughness 7. So you're on 5s to wound. You take away all of them. And you're on -2 and just caused 2 wounds. So try again. That's a good round. This is why I was getting frustrated. I was like, I need to take out a vehicle. I was just plastering it with all these shots and just not making that much damage. Looking for 5s actually to win. Look at that. They're all in the way. 5 save none. So that's 8 wounds. That's a particularly good round of firepower. We'll do one more go. That's above your average there. 3s. 5s. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that's happening. Save 1. 2 damage. See that? So not that great. Thermal cannon. This is a you have your stratagem. Right, the rhino's in trouble. Should be in big trouble. 3s to hit. It's in massive trouble. 3s to wound. Yep. You bypass the armor, and you're on 3d6. The first one could just say, we'll say we're long range. Just do a straight damage. There you go. 10. Boom, destroyed. And that's why I chose the thermal cannon. I think I just illustrated it exactly as I was hoping would work out here. And if you get closer, you're on 2d6, choose the best. Choose that one, choose that one, and choose that one, and destroyed, so even better. D6 shots, 5 again, which is a bit above average. We'll say I got 3, just to be fair. 3s for hits, 2 hits, 3s for wounds, got the 2 wounds, bypassed the armour, 2d6 damage, 11, okay, that's good. So there you go, and that's I've just destroyed 2 vehicles there with that firepower. So I would see the thermal cannon as causing more trouble. Sky Spear, miss, just got the 1. Do get the wound though, and do save that time around. I'll have another go, 2 hits this time. Just the 1 wound comes through, don't save it, d6 damage, 5 wounds. It's a good supporting weapon if you're going after the same target, or just to fire an entirely different target. You know, 5 wounds against the vehicle, it's half destroyed that rhino. One more go. 2 hits, that's your average. Just about, you might come on reroll that, but 1 wound, and save that time, alright, so it's been fortunate there to block those. But that gives you an idea. Storm Spear Rocket Pod, nice supporting weapon, or it can fire off a different target. And then for firepower, you are going to be firing against targets like this, then the thermal cannon is superior. I think it's a lot better, and you saw that there. You know, once you get those hits, target is in trouble. You know, and thermal cannon, you know, maybe it's a monster, it's not a vehicle, it's a monster. Well, it's still going to cause lots of trouble. Maybe it's heavy infantry of some kind. Well, you hit them with a load of thermal cannon hits, they're still going to be in trouble with that as well. So it's still generally a weapon that can, because it has more than one shot, it's got quite a good variety of targets that it can engage. Anything heavy, the thermal cannon I think is excellent. Just that it has that real nasty sort of kick to it, and so that's my preferred weapon of choice. Yeah, to be fair, I'll do the melee weapons here to illustrate that also. So, Reaper Chainsword first of all. 3s. That's excellent. This rhino's dead meat. Sorry, 2s to wound. Yeah. 6s to save. Just making sure I got this right. Strength 14. Yeah. Save 1. Alright, well, 18 damage. Gone. Brisked away. So Reaper Chainsword's alright. It's not bad. I'll have another go. That's the danger. Do get the wound though. 6+ to block. Block that. I just escaped there with no damage at all. I'll have another go. Yeah, 4 attacks is quite healthy. You see that? You're sort of still getting your damage. You probably come on reroll that, but 6 is to try and save here. None. 12. Gone. So vehicle destroyed. The Reaper Chainsword is pretty brutal. If you get those hits, do another go. It's enjoyable rolling these attacks here. 2s to wound, yes. 6s to block, none. 18 damage, vehicle gone. So that's that. Thunderstrike Gauntlet. 4s to hit. This is the danger I'm worried about. It's been alright this time. 2s to wounds. That's fine. -4 straight through, so that's no problem. Have another go. Oh, it's good rolling. Just roll some hit rolls here. 4s hits, yeah, it's alright. 4 dice, you should get your 2 hits. 2 swoons, 1 gets through, it's guaranteed 6. So, still a pretty good weapon. I want to test out the feet. You know, you've gone for no combat ability, but you're just relying on your feet. So you get 4, 8, and 12. I'm playing this bare bones, you know, without any enhancements for households, stratagems, traits, relics, and so on. 3s. So imagine this against infantry, see the number of hits you get. 3s to wound, still really good. 5s to save, that's incredible. And D3 damage, still got 6 wounds. See that? It's not bad there with the feet. So I've heard a lot of Imperial Knights players saying, well, they just use the feet, and that's enough. 3s to hit. 3s to wound, virtually all of them. 5s to save, I think this rhino could be in trouble. Big trouble, I think the rhino's dead. There's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 11 wounds, well done. So the feet are decent enough for close combat. To give you an idea, if you're worried about, oh no, I haven't taken a close combat weapon, maybe not going to be that great in combat, you've just seen there the feet are fine. No problem at all. So they will cause trouble for a variety of targets, heavy infantry, terminators and so on. The feet should break through, and you know, that D3 damage is helpful for taking out multiple wound heavy infantry. So there it is, that is the Tactica for Imperial Knights. A bit of a longer tactical video here, but I think it's justified. There's so many options, different types of knight, different configurations. We've covered all the weapons, we've done some roll-ups here to give you an average, give you an idea of what different weapon configurations can do. We've covered some of the traits and relics and so on as well. But as I mentioned earlier, check out the comment section below to see what other players, Imperial Knights players, have their input, favourite configurations, sort of sneaky combinations of things you can go for. That's the great thing about the codexes, all the different options that are available. But there it is, that is the tactics video for Imperial Knights. As I mentioned, this one here has been painted up by Lego Fingers, expertly painted up by him. By all means, check him out. The details are in the description below, or he's on Instagram. Just look up Lego Fingers and you'll find him there, and he's available for painting commission work, and hopefully we'll have a Imperial Knights army painted up on commission by him to use in future battles. But there it is, that's the tactical video for Imperial Knights. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.